I don't know. I'm on the fence about this, and certainly some feedback. I'd be curious to see where you stand as a board gaming enthusiast. And of course, as we get more information towards the release, which Miniature Market is showing anywhere from April, May, or June. And I tend to think, since it's Lord of the Rings, Fantasy Flight has everything lined up. They know when they're going to release it. Now, the challenge here, I am relatively, this might be heresy and heretic, I'm relatively new to the Lord of the Rings game on there. And this is kind of weird for someone that loves dungeon crawls and grew up on a steady diet of Dungeons and Dragons and wargaming. I knew about Lord of the Rings. I read the book. I saw the movies, but I never really dove into the game itself, the narrative and kind of the world and the politics and everything from that perspective. I kind of looked at it as a top-level D&D adventure. And in playing Lord of the Rings, the card game, the living card game, I was looking for a good solo game. I was looking for something that could also work playing it with a friend, and I wanted an exploration type game. Deck building could give or take it or leave it or whatever. And a couple of people recommended Lord of the Rings, the card game. Got into that, been playing it, loving it. Excellent game, excellent mechanics, excellent artwork, and I found it really drawing me in. I found it really pulling me in. So I dove more. I wanted to know more about the locations and the monsters and the motivations. So when I flipped that card over, I've got a little bit of backstory. So jumping into that and then jumping into War of the Ring, I won't say I'm a Lord of the Rings fanatic, but I certainly appreciate it a lot more. And approaching at it now from that perspective, I'm really, really enjoying that narrative. I do wear the One Ring around, and to date, no one has been able to identify that ring. No one has through various social circles and through work, no one has gotten it. So I'm waiting for that to happen at that moment, and there's no way I would return that in real life on there. So maybe that is taking things a little bit too far. So now I see this release. That's kind of the background to show you where I'm coming from, and I am enthusiastic about Lord of the Rings. Fantasy Flight has the triple threat for me. They produce a solid game. They produce a solid product. Yes, there's been a few that have been so-so, but there's also been a few that, from my perspective, and that is an opinion, something like Runebound 3rd Edition, where they just blasted that out of the park. It is amazing on there. I mean, I love it. And going from Descent 1st Edition, which I really enjoyed, to Descent 2nd Edition, a lot of good, solid changes in there. So I think for the most part, they're putting out good stuff. They're putting out innovative stuff. It's a dungeon crawler, or I should say dungeon exploration. It's set in Lord of the Rings. And this is a bad thing for me, personally. Being a completionist, getting in at the beginning and being able to acquire the expansions, especially with Fantasy Flight, it seems like they print it up, then it goes out of print, then it's back in print, then it's never printed. You never really know. But if you can acquire in the correct order, or you can get in on day one, that opens up a ton. And I'm an expansion maniac. I've been trying to calm it down. I really do, because you can't play with all this stuff. But being a completionist, this is why jumping in for Warhammer 40,000 Blackstone Fortress for me was an amazing thing, because it's the type of 40K I want to play. I love the minis. I love the narrative. And Games Workshop prints stuff up fast. They say they're going to support it, and then they drop it overnight. So as they put out the expansions, we've got the Amble, we've got some stuff in White Dwarf. At least I'm on the ground floor for that. So feeling like with the Lord of the Rings, and I missed Lord of the Rings Quest, I didn't get on that. It has all the signs to buy in on this. And I know, being Lord of the Rings, you know, that eternal question, you could be the solo gamer. You don't have to be lonely to be the solo gamer. I mean, I'm a massive solo gamer on there. I would say, you know, wargaming is 100% face-to-face opponents. Dungeons and Dragons, for the most part, would probably be 90% D&D with a group. Occasionally I'll run some solo scenarios, or I'll kind of meta stuff out if I'm exploring some characters or working my way through a module to play at a later time with the group. But board gaming, while I enjoy the social and I enjoy the narrative, and I do have the good fortune to play with an awesome group of players, I would say that 70-80% of my board gaming experience is solo, because I work insane hours. I get home really late. I listen to you guys on YouTube and Tactics and watching 40K stuff. I'm not quite ready to go to bed, so we'll play some solo analog, old school. Analog is key. Analog is key. Old school stuff, and can play it at my own pace and decompress and play it from there. So certainly from that solo perspective, it's amazing. But I also know we all have our favorite games for whatever reason. You don't have to justify what that is. You've got your favorite game. You bring it to play, and you're just, I'm like, I want to play this game. You bring it to the club, you bring it to an open night, and like nobody wants to play your game, or they want to play some other game, or it's not the right group of people to play your game on there. So it's this constant challenge back and forth. I know with Lord of the Rings, if I buy this and I bring it, I will be beating away people to play this game. It will get massive amounts of plays. Fritz, what's the problem? The problem is it's not analog, it's digital, and I'm not really feeling this new trend where it's just an analog layer over a digital product with that. And you Mansion players out there are like, Fritz, we've been doing this forever. It's great. Descent 2nd Edition. I have used the app. The app has replaced the solo card kind of matrix on there. The app is well done. It mixes up your collection. It's random. It works. But I have the option to go analog. I'm just concerned, especially working in tech, that knowing that nothing lasts forever or even remotely forever, I'm a little bit hesitant to think about over time going in on the core. I love you guys. You know who I'm talking about. You beat on my games. And it's all good because we're here to have a good time. But that means certain games I'm going to bring, I'm going to have to sleeve everything. So then we've got that going on. And that's just delaying the inevitable. But that's cool. It's good. And then expansions, picking up the expansions as they come out. And if it really takes off and Fantasy Flight pumps this out, and I've got all these expansions, I want to be able to play it. I don't want to be linked to an app. Now, I understand the app. Everyone's got a phone. Everyone's got a tablet. Someone in the group has it. You don't need the internet to play, which is good. I think that would be the final kind of straw. But I understand with the app why. Because you're going to allow it updates. You're going to allow it randomization. You're going to allow it customization. From the perspective of immersion, I'm being honest, it is better. Because with immersion, you have an analog rule book. You have a physical rule book, and that could be in PDF too. You're going to flip through it. You might see something that you don't know. There might be some card combinations that you see ahead of time, or you read victory conditions, or if you've played through it once, even if you didn't make certain decisions, or certain pieces of that scenario, like Descent, didn't pop up, you're aware of them. The spoil, the reveal, the prestige has happened on there. A digital app shields you from that. You play it through. Did you really see it all? Do you want to play it again? Now there's a quick tweak. There's a quick update on there. I can see it. It will make the game updates, longevity, randomization, quick play. Yeah, better, all better. But being tied to that, I don't know. And maybe it points to longevity in board games, and I don't have an answer for this because certainly I can only speak for myself, and that's not representative of very much of anything other than some dude in New York playing some games. I want to keep my games for a long time. I want to play them with lots of different people. I can still sometimes and do pull out Hero Quest or pull out obscure stuff like Clusterphobia and play it, or Mage Knight. I'm still trying to figure out how to play Mage Knight. But I have the option, the eternal option to do that with an app. 5 years from now, will the game still be around being played? Maybe. 10 years? No way. And to tie it to that on there. And maybe the development cycle of board games is such that nobody really plays to keep anymore. You play it, it's like time stories, and I love time stories. You play it, you consume it, you move on. But investing in the core, which I think is $80, so what does that mean? 60 in miniature market, and pushing through and playing through there. I don't know. How do you guys feel about digital content being overlaid, or analog over digital, or digital over analog? How do you feel where you need the app to play? That's it. That's it. There's nothing else. It's not even like both, like in Descent, second edition. I wonder, and I haven't heard any news about maybe the opposite happening. Descent second edition was Overlord versus players, then card-based co-op, and then digital co-op. I have not heard with Lord of the Rings digital co-op and then scenario-based single player on there. Hard to say. Hard to say. I'm still very, very tempted because it just hits so much, and maybe that's what it should be. Maybe it should just be not planning for eternity, planning for in that moment of learning. I don't know. I don't know on there. But it is Lord of the Rings.